Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about Pablo Picasso. What can I say about Pablo Picasso that hasn't already been told? Born in Malaga in 1888, no other artist has had so much influence on the fabric of the 20th century as he. One of the most ambitious, anarchic and prolific artists. He saw great success in his own lifetime. He catalogued, archived and curated his own collections, controlled his image and protected his legacy. He married twice and had 4 children with 3 different women. He was a potent, red-blooded male, a lover who pursued women with a passion and who played an integral part of his creativity, appearing on canvas upon canvas. But what you may not know is that Picasso was a great lover of animals. And through the course of my research, I've really enjoyed discovering just how much he loved animals. I came across this book, which I can highly recommend. Picasso's Animals by Boris Friedwald. And in it, he breaks the book up into chapters and themes around the animals. And that's what I'm going to do for you today. Just to say that this film accompanies my feature in the Artist magazine for the August issue, and that's called Picasso and His Animals, the Bond Between Man and Beast. I'm going to start off with bulls and minotaurs, or minotaurs. It stands to reason that Picasso would use the bull as a symbol or motif throughout his work. He is, after all, as I said, a red-blooded Spaniard. The bull is a symbol of Spain, and the subject of bullfighting runs throughout his entire oeuvre, and was introduced to him by his father, José Ruiz Blasco, who introduced his son to the world of bullfighting. The bull in Picasso's works symbolise fertility and power, and it can often also be interpreted as a commentary on social and political conditions. The bull often appears alongside the horse, entangled, fighting. They're often in lots of the sketches that you see of his work. Also paintings, or the etchings that he's done, the horse and the bull are often intertwined, and that represents the relationship between man and woman, the push-pull, and the complications and infatuations of romantic relationships. The bullfight as a subject wasn't tackled by many artists, but was by Goya, and Picasso greatly admired his works. If you get a chance, you could look up Goya's etchings. Some of them are quite bloodthirsty. And they inspired Picasso's work as well. So yeah, I mean, as we know, Picasso used a lot of oil and a lot of colour, but he also did a lot of etchings, dry points and drawings, and sort of swung between that sort of highly fauvised palette and also the sort of massive simplicity of his line drawings. So yes, I should just say about the Minotaur, and I've got an image here. Sorry about the glare. So there we are. That's called Minotaur Caressing the Hand of a Sleeping Woman, and it's a dry point on copper plate, and it was produced in 1933. It's 30 centimeters by 36.5. So he did 100 or so dry points and etchings as part of a series where he's exploring the Minotaur. Here you can see that his nozzle is gently brushing the cheek of the sleeping woman. Is she aware of him or not? It's interesting. So the Minotaur represents Picasso's alter ego, half man, half bull, with an intellectual existence, yet not always in control of his sexual desires, and that's how Picasso really felt about himself. And also links into the Minotaur's ties into his broader exploration of classicism, and that persisted in his work for many years. So yes, the other side of that picture there is Picasso with a pigeon on his head. Picasso was the son of a pigeon breeder, and they had dovecotes in most of the homes that they lived in. So Picasso was exposed to birds from a very early age, and he loved drawing them. He was known as Pablito when he was little, and his father was the drawing teacher at the Instituto de Guarda at La Coruña, and little Pablito would draw bird after bird. So yes, and in his adult life, Picasso also had his own birds, pigeons, but also doves, and he was given lots of birds by people, including his friend Brassai, who gave him a white pigeon, and also his friend / rival Matisse, who gave him a bird. He often worked with a bird perching on his head, and it didn't bother him at all. So it's interesting. We often associate the dove with Picasso because the dove of peace. I've got a picture here I can show you. Because he was asked to develop a poster for the World Peace Congress, and that's sort of one version of it. There are many versions of the dove, because he draws it again and again in his career, but that's just one. So yeah, the dove is a very important theme. In 1937, he moved into an attic studio in Paris with his own aviary. He had pigeons, canaries, and exotic birds. Matisse had gifted him a white pigeon, and he used it as a study for a lithograph. That then became a poster for the World Peace Congress. He designed many posters for them across the years, and he became associated with the peace dove, holding an olive branch in its beak. And even when his daughter was born, he called her Paloma, meaning dove in Spanish. So yeah, really great, this association he has with animals. I should just say, I'm going to quote to you, Picasso may like to detest men, but he adores all animals. At the Bateau Lavoir, he had 3 Siamese cats, a dog, a monkey, and a turtle. He had a domesticated white mouse who made its home in a drawer in his table. In Vallauret, he had a goat called Esmeralda, and in Cannes, he had a monkey. And as for dogs, there was not a day in his life when he had been without their companionship. If it had depended only on himself, he would have always lived in the midst of a veritable Noah's Ark. And that's a quote from 1946 by his friend, the artist Brassai. So on that note, let's head to dogs. I've got a picture of him here with one of his best friends. That is a little dachshund called Lump. And that's him there with Jacqueline de Roc, and they're at their house La Californie in Cannes. And I'll just tell you how their friendship came about. The photographer David Douglas Duncan had taken portraits of Picasso and brought his veritable sort of faithful dachshund with him. Picasso famously paints the sausage dog on a dinner plate and presents it as a gift to Duncan. Man and beast strike up such a connection that Lump is left to live at La Californie for the next 6 years in the happy company of Picasso's boxer dog Jan and Esmeralda the goat, given to him as a present by Jacqueline Roch. Douglas Duncan says, "This was a love affair. Picasso would take Lump in his arms and feed him from his hand. Hell, that little dog just took over. He ran the damn house." It's a lovely idea that he's fell in love with this dog. But in this book, you'll see that there are dogs throughout his life. He's never far from a dog. But there he is with Lump. He's created a sort of cardboard rabbit for the dog. And they're playing there in his studio. Yes. So when Marguerite Matisse visits the commune where he lived in the Bateau Lavoir in 1906. He lives there for 4 or 5 years, I think, as an early aspiring artist. She accompanies her father as a 12-year-old girl and doesn't recall anything in Picasso's studio, but instead his enormous St. Bernard dog. In the case of Picasso, dogs really are a man's best friend. They didn't let him down where humans could. They love the idea that he had a big St. Bernard dog. This is an early picture of Picasso with a, it's called Lute. It's a photograph of a lute and a Siamese cat. And that was him in the Bateau Lavoir in the early 1900s, between his sort of blue and rose period. And there he is with his Siamese cat. And that brings me neatly on to talking about this painting, which was painted in the Rose period. Just to put it in context, he had come to Paris with his best friend, and sadly he had his best friend had fallen in love with a girl, and it was an unrequited romance, and he had shot himself. So obviously that's what led Picasso into his blue period. And this painting is painted just as he's coming out of that period, his rose period, where he's using a rosier palette. He's just fallen in love with his first long-term partner. And they live in the Bateau Lavoir in Montmartre, which is a kind of artist commune. Yes, he's just fallen in love with Fernand Olivier, and that pulls him out of his blue period. The Cirque Medrano comes to Montmartre, and as they're setting up their wagons and settling in for the season, Picasso is able to observe them and draw and paint, and he produces a collection of works from the Rose period, which are very valuable. They're very beautiful. They often include sort of, they're interesting the way that they're painted. They're not of the circus performance. It's behind the scenes. It's intimate moments. It's vulnerable moments. He often he got quite obsessed with the Harlequin as a kind of figure, not only the way that he was dressed, but as a sort of tragic character. But yes, I'll tell you a bit more about this painting here. So that is called Family of Acrobats with Monkey. Got my prompt on the back here. Painted in 1905 during the Rose period. And it's 104 centimeters by 75 centimeters. It's a mixed media, and it's painted on card, brown card, which you can see coming through in the background here. So he's using a cheap and affordable ground, and it's a lovely painting. It captures an intimate scene behind the curtain of a young circus family and their new baby wriggling about on the lap, and the monkey beside them. Picasso loved monkeys. He had a pet as a monkey, and was interested in the relationship between man and beast, and the circus provided great inspiration for that. You can see the monkey's arm, slender arms, and the slender arms of the male circus performer there are mirrored in each other. It's supposed to signify that man and beast are really not that much different. This monkey here is very much included as part of the family, looking up at his baby. Picasso is said to have been inspired by Renaissance religious paintings and painted this in a pyramidical shape, which is often used in religious paintings, religious works. So yes, to elevate these ordinary people beyond their social status to something more spiritual. But yes, Picasso had kept his own monkey called Monina, and she lived with the artist and Fernand Olivier, who apparently was quite jealous of the monkey. And yes, finally, I'll show you this painting. This is, I'm just literally scraping the surface here of the interesting paintings, of all of Picasso's work that features animals. But I hope it gives you a exciting kind of sense of it, and you can go away and explore for yourself, and of course buy the full feature in the Artist magazine. But yes, this is a painting featuring a horse. I'll just bring it back a little bit so we can see the full. Yeah, so this is called Boy Leading a Horse, and this is from the Rose period too. This is painted in 1905. It's very beautiful in its simplicity. It's very pared down palette. The fact that neither boy nor horse are wearing any clothes or bridles. They're kind of quite intimate in their friendship. The boy simply leading the horse by pulling the tuft on the front on his breast there. Both with these kind of distinctive Picasso-esque black outlines. He was highly influenced by Japanese woodblock printing, and we can see this here. So yes, it's a big piece. It's 5 meters by 2.2 meters, and it's at the Museum of Modern Art in the States, in New York. So that's just one example of a horse painting. It was said to be a sketch for the watering place, which features multiple horses, but yeah, it's a most beautiful painting in its own right. And I should just mention the horse and bull in Guernica, painted in 1937. Of course, this is one of Picasso's most famous works, featuring a screaming horse and the bull there, and so many other symbols of the destruction of the town of Guernica. So that's it just for the paintings, but I thought it might be really nice to just talk to you about some of the art materials that Picasso used. The medium in which Picasso made his most important contribution was painting. And in his paintings, Picasso used colour as an expressive element, but he did rely on drawing rather than colour to create form and space. He was first and foremost a draftsman. It's interesting to note that he sometimes added sand to his paint to vary its texture. A nanoprobe of Picasso's The Red Armchair in 1931 by physicists confirms that that Picasso used common house paint in many of his paintings. So he wasn't afraid to use what was available to him. And he worked often at night by artificial light. Again, he just had to get the painting out and done whenever inspiration struck. And I was very interested to read as well that he had invented, or had taken some claim in inventing the wax colour oil stick. If you've heard of the brand Sennelier, their shop opened in 1887 near to the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, and it was frequented by Cézanne, Gauguin, Matisse, and also Picasso. It was run by a Parisian painter called Henri Gutz and Henri Sennelier, and they created a wax colour stick for their friend Pablo Picasso. Picasso, a long-time customer and frequent visitor to their shop near the Louvre, was looking for a medium that could be used freely on a variety of surfaces without fading or cracking. And their collaboration produced the first professional quality oil pastel for Picasso. So, love that story. Excuse me. So I hope you've enjoyed this film, and yes, do go and get this book. It's a lovely book. It's great. Features the many owls. Picasso was he loved owls, often rescuing one of his rescue owls that he takes back to his studio. So yes, and I'll go into the animals in more detail in my feature. And just one last picture, can't resist. Here is Picasso and his family in Cannes, enjoying Christmas with a goat. The Esmeralda the goat takes centre stage. So thank you very much, and look forward to presenting the next feature to you, and see you soon. Thank you for watching.